Hello and welcome back to Watching Worst Films, the weekly podcast where we journey through the winners and the losers from the Golden Raspberry Awards, an annual ceremony dedicated to the very worst from Hollywood and beyond. Travelling back now to 1987 to watch Leonard Part 6. And as always, I'm your host Kyle, joined by the wonderful Jericho Reed.
Thank you very much. I'm liking your smooth late night talk radio voice to this one.
Well, it's very late.
Our latest ever record.
This is our latest ever record, and I'm hitting a wall a little bit in my voice. But yes, we're back into 1987 with Leonard Part 6. Again, as always, just to contrast, the winner for the Best Picture this year was The Last Emperor. What were your thoughts on that?
I didn't much care for it. It was one of the ones I kind of left till the end, so it was maybe like in the last five, and it was kind of long. I didn't really like it.
Well, this year in 1987, we don't have The Simpsons quite yet.
True.
But we do have The Simpsons because in April of this year, they debuted on the Tracy Ullman Show.
Wow.
Those famous shorts that everyone loves so much these days.
Let's all go out for some frosty chocolate milkshakes.
So yeah, that's where we are in the world just now. And so we're into Leonard Part 6.
Importantly, had the Cosby Show premiered in
Well,
87.
there's two Cosby shows, isn't there? Or have I just made this up?
Blow my mind.
I feel like there's two, but I could be wrong. And the Bill Cosby Show, and
The Cosby Show 84 to 92.
and then there's the sitcom show Cosby.
No, hang on. And then there's The Cosby Show 84 to 92.
Yeah.
So is there three?
Yeah, there's three. There's the Bill Cosby Show, there's the Cosby Show, and then there's Cosby.
Okay.
And that's not including the Cosby Mysteries or Fat Albert and his kids.
And Little Bill.
Yeah. So there's other things, but I do remember that there were separate ones.
The Cosby Show really messed with my head as a kid because it was on UK TV. So when I think about it, I'm like, Bill Cosby was probably my first exposure to the idea of a black person being on TV.
All right.
Because I remember watching it when I was like sick. It was one of those things that was on during the day.
Mm-hmm.
It was on Channel 4 or whatever. And it really messed with my head because it was like, this is called The Cosby Show, but yet none of these people are called Cosby.
Yeah.
He's Dr. Huxtable.
Yeah.
Where's the Cosby? When will Cosby arrive? Where is Cosby?
Were you exposed to Cosby, no pun intended, or joke intended, before Fresh Prince?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think that was my first exposure, like late 90s.
I didn't dislike The Cosby Show when I was a kid.
No,
like I
I
think
love it, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I've spoken before about how there would be certain things when like you were sick in the days of terrestrial television when you had like, okay, I've got like kids shows during the morning, and then when I should be at school, TV programming gets a bit weird and you kind of make do with what there is. And that's how I saw The Cosby Show, and I was like, oh, he's an interesting guy, he's kind of funny. I liked his reactions. He's a bit cartoonish. He wears bright sweaters.
There's the lovable grandpa image as well, isn't it? Like, or the uncle, dad, sort
Yeah,
of paternal figure.
Yeah,
is
exactly. He was
always
a
what's
charismatic guy. So I didn't not like Bill Cosby when I was a kid.
That's fair. I mean, thinking of how influential he was and how beloved he was as well, it's sort of surprised how things turned out in the end, isn't it?
Because of him that I own a belt.
It's because of him, though, we have watched Leonard Part 6.
Yeah.
From director Paul Whelan, who is most known for British TV, including Mr. Bean and Blackadder Back and Forth, the Millennium Reunion special, which I've seen.
Of course you
of
have.
Course I've seen it. I haven't seen any of his other films, though, so this is his debut picture.
Yeah.
Which is quite strange to have a British director as well in kind of this project, but
well, it's got a great theatrical pedigree. We have a British director. We have Sir Tom Courtenay. It should be start off background. So we've kind of touched with our background with Bill Cosby, and both of us have no experience of Leonard Part 6.
No.
You haven't seen the preceding 5 Leonards?
I confused it with the Eddie Murphy film that I've forgotten the name, the
Adventure of Pluto Nash.
For some reason, I just merged.
And Ed Wood.
Yeah. And I was also like, if I was thinking of this film, and because I've heard of it before, but I have no idea about it, I kind of picture The Spy Hard. You know, the theatrical poster with Leslie Nielsen with his pants down and the love heart. That's why I can see Cosby with the love heart pants and holding a gun like a Walter PPK or something. Yeah. Not the poster that is eventually released as well. Like, it doesn't. Yeah. Strange. And I think that maybe once you look at the poster, that's why I thought it was Pluto Nash. Yeah. Because it looks like a sci-fi You know, he wears a space jumpsuit through most of the film with a weird helmet and things. It does have strange elements to it.
Yeah, Leonard Part 6 isn't a great title for a spy movie.
It's a terrible.
Is it?
It's a terrible.
It would be like, you'd be like Agent Leonard Part 6, maybe. At the very least, you'd add Agent in there or something to clue you in a little bit more.
Well, I mean, I think...
The Adventures of... The Adventures of Agent Leonard Part 6.
I think, I mean, I heard... that was one of the reasons it did so bad is because people
no one knew what it was,
and no one had seen part 1 to 5. You know,
I mean, I kind of like on paper, I kind of like the idea of alienating massive chunks of the audience with like a dumb joke that only you'll appreciate. Not dissimilar to this podcast, to be honest. WWF. I kind of like the idea of just having a dumb name be the thing that your thing is known for. But yeah, maybe not the best marketing move.
And it's not even, you can kind of let Star Wars off the hook because that's not initially episode 4, you know, that's retroactively added.
Star Wars.
Yeah, that's easy. So like, it's not that it was released under episode 4 or anything. So there's not going to be, I haven't seen the first 5 parts.
Do we want to cover how did we watch this film? This was another pirated.
This was pirated. You sourced this one.
I pirated this one. And how much money did this make?
So on a budget of 24 million. Do you want to take a little guess on how much this made?
24 million. This made 5 million.
You're really close. 4.6 million.
Okay. So we bombed.
It's a massive bomb. Yeah, what's that, 5th return? That's like...
not good.
It's not good. And that's not... That 5th return would cover maybe Cosby's salary. But that's about it, probably, you know.
No wonder Bill Cosby was never to be seen on the silver screen again after this film.
No. So anyway, it's a strange little film, and you want to kind of walk us through a little bit of it?
Okay, yeah. So this starts with like, does it start with narration?
Yes.
So it starts with narration. There's a lovely English voice. It reminded me a little bit of Jude Law and Lemony Snicket. I was just like, I'm really enjoying this narration. Later discovered that was Tom Courtenay. So it starts with some narration. I can't really remember what they're speaking about.
Yeah, if I remember, the narration just tries to set up who Leonard is. He's a retired spy. Blah, blah, blah. And just here he is now and what he's up to.
Men want to be him. Women want to get divorced from him. It's Leonard. So we get Sir Tom setting up Leonard, and then we get images of him doing ballet. I say him doing ballet. His stunt double doing ballet.
I mean, this is we all laughed when we were watching it because you're barely a minute into it and you're already showing the stunt double. You shouldn't want to use that as a focus in your cold open credit sequence. You know,
you're selling this movie off Bill Cosby's name, and you've already discovered like he's not. If his character is doing anything close to any kind of action, it's not going to be him. It's not going to be
Cosby.
It's likely in the ballet scene not even going to be a black person. Because Bill Cosby spends sizable chunks of this movie in a weird kind of like speed racer get up.
Yeah, it's like that's a jumpsuit. I mean, it reminded me, and again, there's a lot of Bond in my head from this movie. It reminded me of the jumpsuits from Moonraker.
Okay.
And it's 10 years after that, you know, like I don't really, but it's not.
This isn't going to help anyone get it, but it reminds me a little bit of Malcolm in the Middle when Hal does speed walking, and he has the sort of lycra suit, and then he has the weird long sort of like teardrop shaped hat.
It's got that, you know, bicycle hat.
He has that long sort of like hat. He's not thankfully wearing like a morph suit. It's not skin tight, but he has got that weirdly long hat. And rather than give him like a visor or something which completely obscures his head, I guess you want to get the Bill Cosby real estate, but they leave the lower third of his face exposed. So when he's doing ballet, you see someone and it looks like the person doing ballet either has like black plastic for, it's like the Batman section of the face of nose down to mouth. And it looks like a RoboCop figure of it's either like black plastic or they're wearing like sort of like a pair of tights. It doesn't look like it looks, skin. You know, it looks like something else.
It looks like a mask with makeup on it, essentially. Like you're trying to blend it in as close to as we can. But yeah, and it's obvious. I mean, my key to this of whether it was Bill or not was looking at his gut. You know, because it magically disappears and reappears. And later on, there's a scene where he's topless, so you get to see him in all his glory. And
he's doing a Jane Fonda workout at one point.
So I mean, that just highlights the fact that it's not him for a lot of these scenes.
Yeah.
And this opening montage as well is when we see his tank, which is a car with a turret on top.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. I don't remember it being brought up again. I mean, it's in the film, but like I don't know what it is or why it's there. But essentially, it sets up that Leonard is a retired 7 years
Well,
old.
wait. There is one final thing, which is the ostrich, because that's another.
Yeah, that was our
we see him riding an ostrich. And again, this just clues you in that Bill Cosby's not going to be doing anything, because you see an actor sitting on something which may or may not be like you know, like a kind of like rodeo ostrich. If there's an actor riding something, and that's clearly not Bill, and then you just get close-ups of his torso and his face from the POV as if he's like,
reaction shots,
but he's not sitting on the bucking bronco.
No, is he not?
And the special effects for the ostrich were incredible.
They were, and we all laughed. From
Yeah.
you know, it was, and which was I must admit, was a really good sign for me, because we were laughing at it already. You know, by the opening of it, I got pleasantly or stupidly, naively optimistic about it.
Would it peak too soon, you would say?
I mean, yeah, and it's not. I mean, it's strange, and it's something I haven't seen a lot in movies, especially where you're like showing scenes from later on in the movie.
Yeah.
It's very strange to me as well. Like, probably just needed to pad out a little bit.
It's not a good opening. I know it's trying to do the record scratch. Like, you're wondering how I got here on top of an ostrich, aren't you?
But it shows other things as well. You know, like the ballet and thing. It's like a highlight reel.
Yeah, exactly. Lure them in quick with some flashy stuff from the end of the film.
It's essentially the trailer without narration over it, you know, saying coming soon this summer or something. It's
exactly,
it's just the highlights.
And then we go to some people in a swimming pool and a fish being trained.
Yes.
And at first I was like, is this a prop piranha designed by someone who's never seen a piranha? Because it's a long fish, but it's chomping.
Yeah,
and it's ready to go.
It's roaring as well.
Yeah, and then they put it down a pipe, and it's swimming towards an unsuspecting couple. And this is where both you and your girlfriend thought it was going to be a dirty love, touch my bass. Fish.
I thought it was going straight up.
But you thought it was going up.
No,
but it's Sophie that thought it was going to bite.
She thought it was going for his genitalia.
Yeah.
I thought the way the angle was in POV, I was like, this is going. It might carry on as well. Like the camera will stay as we're traveling.
And I was like, excuse me, do you two know nothing about moral paragon, man of virtue, Bill Cosby, the 100% clean comedian? There's going to be none of that nonsense in this family-friendly film. If I know anything about Bill Cosby, it's he doesn't like lewd humor, so this is going to be like there will be no monkey business below the water. And sure enough, the guy just gets eaten by what is then revealed to be a rainbow trout.
Yeah.
And so that kind of sets up the engine of the film is animals are killing people.
Well, it's because it's an agent. It's a secret agent that is eaten by this rainbow trout, and he's devoured it whole instantly with his tie or his swimsuit or whatever, like floating off. No blood, of course, because as you said, it's Cosby. And that's when we find out that this was a secret agent and someone's been training. And they give a list of like events from animals, attacks and stuff. Yeah. None funny.
Excuse me, this might be getting a little bit too soon, but like the frog attack?
Later.
Okay. You're keeping that separate. Just the quick montage.
Yes.
Yeah.
They are just firing through them and talking. Oh, I don't think it's a mole. That's later, the mole that killed the lumberjack, but it's these levels of someone died by a snake. You know what I mean? It's not. It's not good. And this is where we're introduced to Joe Don Baker as well. Yeah. Which set my Bond signals going off.
What's his name? It's
Schneiderburn.
Schneiderburn, yeah, okay. So he's playing the M.
He's essentially M, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you may know him from GoldenEye, Tomorrow Never Dies, but his debut was actually in License to Kill.
Living Daylights.
Living Daylights, okay, where he plays a different character.
Coincidentally, the same year as this. So he's a busy boy, yeah. He's a villain in Living Daylights, becomes Jack Wade, ally.
The like CIA contact, the Felix Leiter, who isn't Felix Leiter.
Exactly, yeah. So it's also this time as well, one of the cabinet, it's like a cabinet of M's. Is what my girlfriend pointed out was Grace Zabriskie, if I pronounce her name right, from Twin Peaks, in a pre-Twin Peaks role as well.
Well, this is what David Lynch saw her in.
This is what
he was at the cinema watching Leonard Part 6, and he was like, amazing, I need Bill. Too expensive? Grace.
Grace
She'll
will
do.
Yeah, so they need to get Cosby, they need to get Leonard out of retirement.
So yeah, they pull Cosby back into service. Some people try and assassinate him in a kitchen.
Well, that's how they bring him back into service.
Yeah.
They send an agent to go kill him.
Yeah.
So Cosby can kill the agent to return and say, what the heck's going on,
Yeah.
What's the deal?
That's his John Wick of, people keep asking me if I'm back.
Yeah.
I'm thinking I'm back.
I'm not going to lie, I quite enjoyed this. The kitchen scene is on for far too long because it establishes that Leonard runs a restaurant, a fine diner in San Francisco. And there's a man that's sitting at the table. He says, this trout isn't fresh, or this fish isn't fresh. Yeah.
Again, the fish motif.
There's a lot of fish in this
Shining
film,
through, Dirty Love, Leonard Part 6.
Can't escape them, And then so this is slow, this is boring, I'm not having fun. But when the agent tries to start assassinating Cosby, I got a couple of giggles and laughs out of it. Not ironically either. I loved how the kitchen was just carrying on. I loved the meat fridge full of cans of Coke.
Yeah.
All positioned to show you the label.
Yeah.
And it swings open, not a single dent in any of them. Loved it.
Well, yeah, like I think I remained optimistic a little longer than you. So it was in the next scene when my hopes began to fall. But in the kitchen scene, I was still like, oh, this might be like an okay movie. Maybe the general reception is wrong. Because the assassin's shooting at Bill and Bill's deflecting the bullets with like pots and pans. And like it's a busy kitchen, all the chefs are working, and they just continue to work as bullets are flying. And that's when you were like, I've worked in the kitchen, the rush hour, you can't afford to be, excuse me, I got shot, can I go home? No. Dinner rush, get back to work. I'm bleeding in the soup, it's tomato soup, they won't notice.
And I like that though, because it felt like a joke.
Yeah.
It felt like a premise was set up and almost a punchline as well.
Well, there's the thing where he deflects the bullet with a pan, and it's only one bullet, and yet we see like 5 bullets embedded in the pan. And we couldn't tell if that was like a movie goof thing, or if they were just saying like, this is a routine thing at Shea Leonard. Like, people try and kill him every day of the week. This is the 5th like assassination attempt he's foiled.
But like even at this point as well, like I kind of thought, I think there might have been a fun film in here of him trying to stay in retirement.
Yeah.
And he keeps sending assassins. He keeps getting into wackier, and he's just wanting to live his life and be with his family, or he wants to be on the Cosby Show or something. But everything tries to pull him back in.
He retrains as a doctor and goes into like this relocation program as Cliff Huxtable.
So yeah, that brings Leonard into M. I'm just going to call him M. I know he's Schneiderburn, but for the sake of me, I'm calling him M.
Yeah. And
he's like, what's going on? Why are you trying to assassinate me? And we need you back because, again, animals are being trained. And and then Leonard's like, nah, I don't want to. I want to stay retired. And goes, and Leonard does say something as well about how, he wants to just get back with his wife and run his restaurant.
Yeah.
And M's like, well, maybe if you're a special agent, she'd come back to you, And so if you just stop these fucking animals and steal a globe that's controlling them all, she'll get back to you and everyone will be all right. And this is almost the point where this is where I lost all faith, I think.
Yeah, so this is where before this point I still thought like, oh, you know what, maybe this is like kind of okay. But in that scene, that was where I rapidly began to lose faith in the film, where both M and Cosby I thought were okay. They just seemed like they were in completely different films. Mm-hmm. And the film that Bill Cosby was in was, I don't know, like a Nicholas Finding Refn film where his tempo's turned down very low and he's very like, he's at a simmer when he really needs to be a lot higher. And yeah, that sucks. That should be like, the film should be like pushing you towards the front door, but instead it's got his pipe and slippers and it just loses all momentum.
Well, this is my next point, is the following scene from him being recruited back into the Secret Service or whatever, is him returning home to see his daughter. Yeah. And we begin one of the major subplots, I guess.
The only really one.
Well, the wife. He's got to stop the animals.
Would you say the wife is a subplot?
I think so. Until she comes heavily involved in at the end. in the run up to it, because it's the point of not wanting to join.
I'd say the
you've
daughter
got
is a
evil-
subplot
You've
for
got
sure.
evil
but the wife-
animals. I want to get back with a wife. I don't want my daughter dating this 66-year-old man.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's her three. This is it. That's
Yeah.
all. There's nothing else in the film. Like, this is it.
Yeah.
And this is where I actually pointed out. This is where it felt like the Cosby Show.
Well, the ass falls out of the film entirely. Like, it's like, okay, Bill, you're going off to like imagine, if you will, just for a moment, that Bond starts as like, okay, Bond, we're going to be sending you off to Le Chiffre. He's an accountant for terrorists. But then we're going to have a 20-minute scene where you hang out at your house, and it kills all momentum in the film. Your daughter's having some problems, Bond. You've got to listen to them.
Yeah.
It just, like, you're right. It's the Cosby Show. It's material that he thought was a little bit too blue for the Cosby Show of, like, what if my daughter was dating a 60-year-old man? So it's a separate thing.
Entirely.
Just gets shoved right when this film is threatening to take off.
And it is, because it is presented as a spy film, or in a parody, or like a send-up, or a satire, or whatever the fuck it's wanting to be.
Yeah.
And we are half an hour in, barely,
Yeah.
and it's crashing with household melodrama that I don't give a fuck about. So yeah, his daughter wants to be an actress. She wants him to come see his play, and she's also marrying the director, who is 66. Also, he is. And he just comes into the house, dressed like a pimp. He has a sit down with Cosby. Cosby's like, I don't want you marrying her. And he's like, yeah, well,
You're robbing the cradle? Some would say she's robbing the grave.
And then Cosby's like, oh, well, okay then, I guess.
I've got a mission to go on.
This is when his butler as well says this could be a good also opportunity to get with a wife. You know, you could discuss it with her, which leads to him phoning her up and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, so this is the way this film plays out is basically just like, what if James Bond was divorced?
Yeah.
Which, I don't know, maybe that's where they were going to take the franchise. Had Daniel Craig continued, he'd have got divorced from Lea Seydoux, and it would just be custody battles. In fact, maybe the next Bond is Lawrence Fox, and he's dealing with Spectre and Family Court. But that's basically what this is.
I don't want to give any attention to the subplot either.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't deserve.
It doesn't deserve anything. It's gonna. You don't deserve to listen to this.
They just say, like, he's divorced from his wife because he cheated on her with a 19-year-old. They were whipping each other with birch leaves in a sauna or something.
Which led to my favorite line of the movie.
Yeah.
I did not lay a finger on that girl. Quote Bill Cosby. You know.
Bill Cosby, Leonard, Part 6, 1987. Bill Cosby, Court of New York, 2017. Yeah, so the fact that this is a convicted rapist that we're watching for 90 minutes definitely adds an uncomfortable moral element to what is not an entertaining film. But anyway, so he has his kind of like montage whipped into shape sequence, which is the least energetic montage in cinematic history. Like, it would have been quicker just to show all the things in their entirety, because it just drags so much.
I mean, it's not even I don't think you can call it a montage when it goes that long. Like, a montage is to speed up, isn't it?
Yeah.
To move things, not slow things down, not picking a tie or not being able to stretch and do your fucking jazzercise.
But to be honest, this is probably like this. I was going to say 5 minute. I feel like this 15-minute montage is probably what provides the entirety of the film's $25 million budget, because there is so much product placement here. It's maybe a little bit before when he's like freaking out his daughter dating like a 60-year-old man. She's like, here, let me get you a Coke.
Yeah.
And he very carefully holds the Coke that the label is the camera for their entire conversation.
It takes up at least a third of the frame.
Yeah.
This giant Coke bottle placed right between, your two characters.
It's even like, it cuts to like
an umpire.
Like, yeah, it even cuts to like a reverse or like an over the shoulder shot where he's kind of like his arms around her, and it's almost like he rotates the label so it's now
his wrist, so
like The Exorcist. And then we get like maybe my first laugh was the frog scene, which we'll have to go back to.
Yeah.
But I also laughed at his shower scene, where he goes to his shower and you see these nozzles, Evian, Montpellier, Perrier, and he turns the nozzle and has like a Perrier fountain.
Like
He has a
6 of them,
Perrier
yeah.
shower, yeah. So this nozzle just
Yeah,
spraying,
great.
yeah.
Which is a funny joke as well, like because it never sets up how rich Cosby is in this film.
No.
Because he's got his wife has a mansion. They both
Yeah.
have like the finest houses in San Francisco. He can afford this, a butler, a tank car. I think he has like a Rolls Royce as well that gets taken
they'd-
out for.
If they'd set this up more of like he is an obscenely wealthy man, or like he is this sort of like diva where he's like, oh no, I can't tell. That's sparkling water I was showering with, or that's like supermarket's own brand bottled water. If they had set up stuff like that where they're like, oh, this man is a sort of hyper capitalist, or he is just whatever, they could have done stuff with it as a background gag. I didn't dislike it, but it's no meaningful character insight.
There's nothing.
It's just
Yeah.
completely isolated. That's his one thing, is he showers in bottled water. But it's not part of a larger thing of who he is.
This leads us closer to so we open on a tuna industrial, I think is what the villain's headquarters is disguised as. And I like this. I like the location. It was nice to have a little bit of set and, something going on.
Well, who was it that identified it as Bertany? Was it Sophie that said it looked a bit Batman Returns-y?
Yeah,
the lighting.
I thought it, especially towards the end, it got really Batman Returns.
Yeah,
Like
the
with
production
blue
design was
lights
good.
going
Yeah,
through and stuff.
yeah.
And just even with a henchman kind of
The big vats of
the
goo.
big vats of goo henchmen
Yeah.
that were all burly and like dressed like sailors and stuff. It gave it that kind of. They could be clowns. They could be running around Gotham.
Well, let's deal with the henchmen, because this film, unfortunately, is not very woke, and so I fear that Mr. William Cosby may get cancelled because of this film, because
Too far.
all of the henchmen are physically disabled in some way.
Yeah.
Which the guy one no hang on, he wasn't even he wasn't one of the henchmen. The one of the would be assassins is just the guy who has his tongue out the whole time.
Yeah.
But he's not affiliated with like Peter Spector.
No.
Whereas Peter Spector, there's a guy with and hang on, the guy with the droopy eyelids is also from the Council of
Yeah,
M's.
he's on the council. Yeah, and
He's-
I
so-
think it's just a guy that has droopy eyes. I don't know why you and Sophie both caught on it. And
He has really droopy eyes,
yeah, but,
listener.
like-
He looks like droopy dog. Like his eyelids are just.
but they don't focus on it. They don't make a mention of it. It's just.
But they linger on it, and then the scene cuts to the next one. It is made a point of, and so
Get rid of them all.
I was like, why are physical disabilities being given such attention in this film?
Because if
and
it-
presented as other and sort of like
Because that's a bonding trait to me.
Yeah,
You've got your.
Doctor No Without Hands.
Everyone's missing something.
Yeah.
Everyone's physically
Blofeld,
deformed.
crying tear,
Yeah.
crying blood.
You've got Scaramanga with a third nipple. You've got Blofeld with missing faces. Like there's so many.
You've got Matthew Almeric looking weird.
Yeah. We could go on forever. It's kind of it's the point of it. And but this doesn't do that.
The point of it is, if you're in any way different, you are evil.
But he was a good guy.
Yeah, so that's why I was just a little bit So the Council of M guy he's good, but there's the assassin who just has his tongue out all the time.
Yeah.
And then with the Peter Spector, there's the guy in the wheelchair.
My favorite. I actually was just trying to look him up because I don't know his name.
What's this man?
I think he had a name, right? So like Spectre, Leonard Spectre is. I remember Medusa is the head. That's the Blofeld. That is Gloria
Imagine if it was
Foster.
Hydra.
Oh my! That's the actress Gloria Foster.
Gorgon.
And she is probably the highlight of the film. She's full of energy. She's campy. She's having fun, like reveling in being a villain. Like it's got that kind of Roger Moore villain kind of vibe to it that I liked. And she has a henchman who looks like Dracula.
Yeah.
Was one of them. And I don't know what this other Spectre man was, but it was a guy in a wheelchair whose only advice is just kill him.
Yeah.
There's like an invader, a spy. This is how we get onto your frog scene. There's a agent or someone listening into their secret base.
Yeah.
And they find out that, and he's just like, kill him, just why hang about?
Yeah.
And they kill him in possibly the greatest scene I've ever seen. You want to walk us through this?
Yeah. So frogs, like one frog hops under his car, and I'm already like, I'm starting to laugh. I like frogs a lot, and I'm already speculating about like, is this going to be a fighting frog? Like, is this going to punch him to death? How is this frog going to kill him? And then like more frogs like appear, and I was like, is this going to be like Jurassic Park? Are they just going to be like poisonous frogs? Are they going to jump in his mouth? What are they going to do? But no, an army of frogs like assembles underneath his car, and then they lift up his car.
You're missing some of the best parts. So they come one by one.
Yeah.
They also pause their ribbits
Yeah.
when he's listening, and there's a great shot as well where one frog looks to another frog as if to say like, shh, keep it on the down low. And when it's time, they make their ribbits, and the spy listening in starts transcribing it, thinking he's caught onto something. And on the third ribbit, I think it is when all the frogs decide to lift the car.
In unison, the frogs lift up his car, carry it to the edge of the bridge, and then just throw him off. Which is again more dodgy special effects work, given that like you see the frogs lift it up and then the car changes to a toy car and there are no frogs carrying it, and it just goes and then car explodes. But yeah, no, I loved that scene. All it needed was them singing "Wise Up" by Amy Mann to make it a Magnolia reference. But yeah, no, frog scene was so good. Maybe, honestly, that might be one of my favourite scenes in all of the Razzie watches we've done so far.
It was a huge laugh. It went out, all of us laughed at it, which I didn't expect. I didn't expect such big laughs. Because it's absurd. It is like quite a surreal, weird thing. But more of that, like. It's possibly one of the downfalls because after this, it doesn't really happen. We don't get to see animals kill in like fun ways. I would have liked to see like an ostrich trying to like sneak through a building to assassinate someone or something. I want all this like synchronized bats and things like. Give me some fun. Lean into it basically. Like stop going back to seeing your daughter get naked in a play and stop getting soup thrown over you by your wife and stuff, all this absolute shit that just kind of slows everything down and takes it. I mean, it's 85 minutes long, so you can't really take anything out, or this is nothing.
Yeah.
But the Spectre plays, they're all vegetarians as well. This is her grand scheme, is she's a vegetarian, all her henchmen are, and it's like revenge against the world that animals are gonna attack back, and get people to stop eating meat.
This is one of my favorite movie tropes, is the villain who kind of has good motivations and who you'd agree with, and then the movie has to be like, and they're gonna kill everyone. So of course we have like Black Panther with Killmonger being like, you know what, like imperialism maybe isn't a great thing, and Africa has been plundered of resources for centuries. And then I'm going to kill everyone. Or like they do it in Bond films, don't they, all the time?
On Her Majesty's Secret Service is the one that comes to mind with me, where Blofeld's fake plan of curing allergic reactions by getting people to eat certain things. And I was like, that's a great fucking idea. And you've got a resort. And okay, there's a plan to poison everyone around the world. But like, I don't know. I don't think that was such a bad plan.
Basically, whenever anyone in a movie cares about the environment, they're like, you've got like 5 minutes before they become a villain. That solution is, I'm going to end climate change by murdering everyone. Because you know what? We don't need to care about climate catastrophe. No. It's fine. James Bond's going to kill the villain and everything will be solved.
But this is also a sign of the times, is what I said while watching it. Vegetarianism was much more dunked on in... pre-millennium times. It was a joke. You would be ridiculed for it.
You weren't as masculine as Bill Cosby with his beer belly. Doesn't matter if you were a ripped like 6'5" bodybuilder. You were scared of Bill and his big meaty sausage. So
that's one of the things. So getting off topic. I'm sorry, Leonard. I'll get back on. I was just thinking, like, vegetarianism as a topic is such a rarity now in a vegan world. Like I never hear vegetarianism as much as I do hear veganism. And in the reboot of Leonard, we might have to update those terms. Because, Medusa can have butter, and I don't think she would in this modern world.
No, she'd have to go a little bit further. Okay, so I'm just looking at my notes and the things I have to cross off here. There is a scene in which Leonard does surgery on himself.
Oh, yeah.
I laughed at that scene a little bit because it's set up. He's in his Perrier shower, and Tom Courtenay, his Alfred... He's like, scalpel, yeah, here you go, this. And you think, like, it's set up that Alfred's going to be doing surgery because he's been shot in some sort of encounter. And Bill Cosby is, in fact, dressed like a doctor and he's performing surgery on himself. So that was, like, a mildly funny scene. Like, the idea of, like, a doctor operating on himself was just kind of like
It's
raised
quite.
a smile.
Yeah, no, it goes on too long.
It does. It's a throwaway 10-second gag that you have Leslie Nielsen deliver,
Yes.
and then boom, you're out of there.
Yeah.
But in this, it's
And you can see, I
scene.
can see, he's stitching himself up, and that'll be, and he'll probably,
And he'd be like, I don't deal too well with surgery. I'm a little bit. He maybe anesthetizes himself and then starts doing it while falling asleep.
but this scene's shit at the end because it seeks into his daughter. With the reviews
she's
of
like,
the play.
Daddy, my play's been reviewed so well.
And it kind of just crashes back. Like anytime there's any momentum, any humor, anything that you're like, okay, like there's something here. There's some sort of seed of humor. He just crashes it back down to earth. I believe that is Cosby as well that's doing this. But anyway.
I don't know anything about Cosby the comedian or Cosby the show. I haven't watched it since I was a kid. But off the basis of this, like I know people were like, he was like a revolutionary stand-up. But off the basis of this, you're like, this man has very little idea of what is funny.
Yeah.
This man does not have a funny bone in his body.
Yeah. Which is like, so when you hear that like revolutionary stand-up, okay, I can pull out my beloved Casino Royale 1967. Terrible fucking film.
Yeah.
But Woody Allen is funny in it. Right? He's genuine.
Yeah.
If you cut his scenes out, they're laugh out loud funny.
Yeah.
He delivers them well. You can tell he's obviously either wrote them or had involvement in them as well. And you could tell that this is someone who could go on a stage and be funny.
Yeah.
You would not get this from Leonard Part 6. Am I saying Casino Royale 67's better? Yes.
Oh, by far.
By my heart. But yeah, like you can't tell this, and I think this is where this is all because it's his story. This is why we think it's outtakes and stuff from his sitcom, because he must have pushed this stuff in. He seems so disinterested in the spy stuff. He is so bored like, looking in it. He's tired. He sweats. He doesn't. If he's not talking to his wife or his daughter or a gypsy, he doesn't. Really...
Yeah, I'd forgotten about the Albanian woman who is in it, but just kind of. Well, that's why I'd forgotten, is because she is irrelevant. She's just one scene sitting in a caravan.
She's sitting in a caravan. A man's outside playing bongos. Her kids are upstairs in the caravan. She speaks, I call it the Latka Andy Kaufman from Taxi talk, this fictional blah, 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 blah. And she gives him the Deus Ex Machina of the film, which is a pair of slippers and a little box with something in it.
A bee?
A bee, that's what it is. A bee's in it.
I'm a bee.
And he doesn't understand this, but he knows he does this every mission that he goes to see her, and she predicts his future and helps him out. I don't know.
We came so close to forgetting this entire scene, which is key to everything.
And the reason I had to go back as we get to the finale, basically, Spectre kidnap Cosby's wife.
Yeah.
Which finally gets Cosby to get into action and get there and do something about it. And this is like our finale. This is our big like set piece. This is our bonding and
villains. You're going to their headquarters. You're going into the volcano. You're going to Tuna International, and you're gonna fight your way out of it while you're claiming your woman.
Yes, he gets caught. He gets tied up with his wife.
Yeah,
and the Medusa, the head lady's plan is just to kill him. But she doesn't.
Well, no, it's not her plan. She's like, send them off like to this cell, and then the wheelchair man is kill him.
Just kill him.
Yeah,
and the film can be over.
Yeah, thank you, wheelchair man, because God, this could have been 2 hours long.
If he was the main villain, this would have been a great film.
This is where it's kind of like Futurama with the zookeeper, and they have Citizen Snips, the army of lobsters, which are gonna. I worked when I said army of frogs, because that's the collective noun. I don't know what the one is for lobsters. They had a bunch of lobsters who were going to execute Bill Cosby. And so the lobsters are a way to...
A pod of lobsters.
A pod of lobsters. There you go, listeners. If you take nothing else away from this podcast, pod of lobsters are about to have their wicked way with Bill Cosby, which maybe that's what's happening to him right now in prison.
He's free. He's innocent.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. He got released.
He got overturned.
Yeah.
He's an innocent man, Bill Cosby. And we've been slandering you for an hour. Please do not sue.
See you in court, Mr. Cosby. So the lobsters are about to kill him. And then, surprise, surprise, fairy godmother's slippers, magic butter appears. Well, a lobster accidentally snips him free, and then he uses that lobster as like a pair of scissors to cut the other chains. And then he magic slippers butter into existence and uses that to threaten the lobsters with making them into lobster thermidor.
With just butter and nothing else.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a talented chef.
And then he escapes, frees his wife, and they run through, and basically that is the end of the film. And so
I don't have anything else to add except he kills henchmen by throwing burger meat on them.
yeah, that's the scene where Macho Bill, Jordan Peterson pilled Bill, is like, hey, you're gonna eat a good steak in tiny room. How'd you like this? Here's some steak on your and they're like, please, no, Mr. Bill, don't do it. And so he slaps these like ripped bodybuilders with steak, being like, you're not getting enough protein, goddammit.
Which in this scene is the only surprise for me really at this point is he feeds the Dracula henchman the sausage.
Yeah, because he's like, I'm not scared. Be your worst, Bill. You're not gonna scare me off by slapping me in the face with a steak.
We get a scanner's head explosion. Not graphic.
This is where Bill pulls out his sausage and is like, take a big bite of this, and Dracula henchman bites into the sausage and immediately his head explodes.
It's weird, and he continues on as well. Like it's very weird little. I don't know what that's meant to be, but I didn't expect it, so it didn't get a laugh, but it got a reaction.
What the fuck was that?
And then I remember my favorite character, Mr. Wheelchair Killam, gets jokered.
Yeah,
he gets thrown into the goop.
So this is really the only two notes I have is there's blue milk. So I was like, this is the Star Wars factory where it gets made. But then there are these big vats of Joker fluid, which we were so ground down by this film. This is where you said maybe one of the saddest things I've heard a person say. Because you're like, oh, this is all right, Phil. And me and your girlfriend dove into that with like, what are you saying is all right, Kyle? This close-up of a big vat of a primary colour.
It was a nice blues.
Like, yeah, it's nice blues. Nice, look at that. There's nice colours, isn't there? Just a close-up on a vat of paint. That's nice.
I think I stand by. I think we've just been watching such drab and miserable films.
Yeah.
The colour blue lit me up. You know?
Exactly. A little bit of colour, a little vibrance, a little bit of Sesame Street is exactly what we need.
And then he rides an ostrich, escapes at the end.
That's it. That's the end. That's it. Done.
So, Leonard Part 6. How do you fix it? In the simplest steps.
Honestly, you've kind of already given it away. I had this up my sleeve. You just have more animals.
Yeah.
You have more animal death scenes, more stuff like the frog. You cut out the daughter. We'll let him keep the divorced wife just because he needs something. Removing her would leave a gaping chasm in the heart of the movie. But you lose the daughter dating the 60-year-old man. You lose the Doppler. You lose the come on, man. You lose the daughter getting topless in the play, and you just fill that with some funny animal hijinks.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot. Changes.
That's just add more animals. More animals doing stuff. I want an armadillo killing someone.
I agree. If I go with those two, if I can't get he's not coming out of retirement and they're chasing him down film, give me just go nuts, go animals. Yeah. The Spectre the spy plot of it, if you just make that into a film. Yeah. And forget all the family drama.
Because more animals will also give you more Medusa, who she is like the foot on the gas pedal of this movie. Of Bill Cosby is a lethargic, slow, sort of like laid back, like he just saps all momentum out of the film. But whenever Medusa's there, it's like go, 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 come on, things are happening.
So I was thinking about this, and it's a point you brought up while we were watching it. I think the simplest thing is to try and pull it more. Yeah, so we've used more Spectre stuff, but try and pull more into it being a spy film. This is a spy parody film without any gadgets.
No.
It has magic slippers and a bee. But, you know, like give him wacky gadgets and stuff. Give him a jetpack.
The bee at one point frees another bee. The bee does get used, listeners, in case you're wondering. It's not pivotal, but the bee does serve a purpose. The bee gets its moment in the sun.
But the bee could be a magic watch, you know, that has you can have
Q branch bee.
You can have and there could be a lot of fun with gadgets and jetpacks and funny things and a mechanical ostrich or something you have to blend in with the other ones. You could have really went into that. Yeah. They don't even touch it.
This is so lazy and half-assed. This is unbelievable.
And at the end, my girlfriend asked, "Where did it fall?" And so far, and we were like, "Oh, in the middle."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
mid-tier. It's all right. It's all right. So anyway, that concludes our discussion on the film, unless you have anything else to add.
Well, I do just have the one more thing to say. Before I realized that he was out enjoying the high life, I was like, I wonder who owns the IP for Leonard Part 6, because I was like, you could relaunch, like in our IP heavy era, you could get Hannibal Buress for Leonard Part 7, or you could do Leonard Origins, Leonard's Part 1 to 5 with Jaden Smith as Leonard. We see him meet his wife, we see him get married, we see how things were good. I do think, you know, there's a lot of mileage left in the Leonard franchise. So
I mean, I
because we were just talking about Fletch with Chevy Chase and John Hamm. I think you reboot this with another Leonard, and you've got a money spinner on your hands, baby.
And I agree with that. On the Fletch line, though, I would have loved a Fletch Lives version of this.
Yeah.
I wish this did well in a way, so I could have seen a follow-up to it. But no, I'm glad it didn't.
Okay, right. Here's what we're going to do. So if he's tackling vegetarianism in this, we make the anti-woke Leonard franchise.
Oh, yeah.
We get Ben Shapiro on board, and we're like, okay, Leonard is taking on people who want to have pronouns. And so by the end of the movie, Leonard's going to remove pronouns from the English language. We will only have proper nouns. And every Leonard film is just like him tackling another conservative boogeyman. And we make it's just as shit as Leonard Part 6. But because conservatives feel appeased, Lawrence Fox can be Blofeld.
Oh, yeah.
We just get all these fucking ghouls who've won Razzies, and we're like, hey, you know what? Like, you know how you love making movies where like black people espouse your hateful ideology? Well, we have the franchise for you. It's Leonard. So that's how I fix the Leonard franchise.
No.
And meanwhile, we get rich off the conservative dollar and end up giving it all to charity and killing ourselves because we can't live with what we're bringing into the world. But the Razzie worthiness of this film.
Yes. What's your opinion on it?
I'm not sure. For most of it, I was kind of thinking that it's not car crash bad enough. Like the fact that we said to Sophie, this is mid.
Yeah.
I want every Razzie winner to be the worst one. And the fact that this wasn't even in contention almost makes me feel like it's not deserved.
It's not.
But so the only thing I'm scrabbling for is the fact that, as we said, this bills itself as a spy parody, and it fails so horrendously at being a parody or a spy film that in that regard it's a catastrophic failure. So I would say it's kind of Razzie worthy.
Absolutely. If it wasn't, as we'll go through in part 2, up against such strong competition in my head, I think there's at least 3 winners.
Yeah.
Much worse than this. I don't think it should escape completely. I think Cosby deserves awards. There's a lot to pick up on it. But yeah, it kind of falls into that mid-tier. It's not... Never watch it, and listeners, don't ever watch it. Don't think about it.
If the frog scene is on YouTube, I would recommend watching the frog scene in isolation.
And if we
because Cosby's not
and if we find it, we can link it on our socials.
True, yeah.
Because what's he gonna do?
Famous last words. Podcast sued him to oblivion. Because he was really litigious because he got House of Cosby shut down.
Yeah.
But understandably, his lawyer has had more on his plate in recent years.
Bring it on. Anyway, so yeah, this is worst picture, worst actor for Bill Cosby. I agree that
he is horrendous. He's at first I thought like he's okay. He's kind of believable. He's kind of like he has some mild comedic chops, but it's just that it is watching Cliff Huxtable in a spy movie. Like imagine Roger Moore towards the end when he's kind of lethargic and a bit struggling with stairs, and then remove 90% of that energy.
Yeah, I agree, yeah. And it also won for worst screenplay by Jonathan Reynolds, and the story, of course, done by Bill Cosby. I can't argue with that. I can't imagine what the screenplay would look like for this. I feel like this is ideas. Like the story was just a notepad with, wouldn't it be funny if my daughter got topless and married a 66-year-old man?
Well, I want to, in my head, Bill Cosby was like, car gets thrown off bridge by frogs. And then he just slid that to a screenwriter and was like, there you go, write a movie around this.
Which is good. I mean, I like the thought, though, that Bill's sitting there, exterior night, you know. It's a quiet, atmospheric night. We can hear the sounds of frogs approaching, you know. I want him to go into detail. I want him to build this up. I can't imagine this was long, though.
It's just the finest prose, like, the frogs hopped on in the frisculating dusklight. Vamonos, amigos.
Yeah, so like, and similarly to our last episode with Saving Christmas, this is a very short film.
Mercifully short.
And I'm happy. I love 85 minutes, Bill. You're all right by me. So I can't imagine. I didn't imagine there was much here in a screenplay other than a basic story outline and filled in blanks to help actors read lines. But Cosby did most of the jokes here. This is his film. You know, I'm convinced when we were watching it that he shadow directed it.
Well, yeah, that's the only other nomination for it that we haven't mentioned, isn't it? Is it one for Cosby, one for screenplay, but it was nominated for director.
Nominated for director, yeah.
Oh no, hang on.
Oh, sorry. Worst supporting actress as well.
Medusa, I am not having that.
Nah, Medusa's the best part of the film.
Yeah, Gloria Foster nominated for Medusa.
You could put in the Darb if you were wanting to be harsh, but no one in here is particularly like awful.
No, Medusa, I'm going to put there. Medusa is up there with Hayden Christensen and Arnie on like a Razzie noms. I will fight Mr. Razzie to death over. Medusa is carrying this film on her back.
Absolutely.
Like, of all the things to nominate, she is the last thing. So she's nominated, and then Paul Wayland is also nominated for director.
Who, at the time of watching it, you were like, it must be, because this is a terribly directed film.
Well, that was my first thing, my first observation before I even realised how bad Bill Cosby was I was like, everyone in this is in a different film.
There's no way, and if you're listening, director, did you direct Bill Cosby in this movie? Or did Bill Cosby just...
Did he direct
Did you just sit there and say action? You know, like, you might have directed the other characters. You might have directed Medusa. Then you don't deserve to be here. But, I'm blaming Cosby. That's the thing to do, you know? And that concludes all our nominations.
We're going to return to our section, Listener Correspondence, but join us in the final part of the show when we'll be discussing all of the other nominees and winners for 1987. So we have a return to our favourite section, Listener Correspondence, with an actual read out email to bring to you. So you'll remember in our Dirty Love episode, we spoke about Bewitched as an adaptation of a 50s sitcom TV show. And we put out the call, what is the patient zero? What's the origin for this? Because we thought there must have been something that's successful that sparked it. Mm-hmm. Well, we have a lovely email here, which I will just read out. So this spreadsheet kind of got away from me. I'm not even sure it answers the original question, but it seems like the cluster of old series being turned into movies in 2005 was just a steady progression of a trend that has been ongoing since the 90s and goes beyond 2005 to Get Smart, 2008, Man from U.N.C.L.E., 2015, etc. However, please feel free to draw your own conclusions. Thank you for giving me something to look forward to on Tuesdays. And this is from friend of the show, Kelly, who is amazing and has made this incredible document, which, I don't know, we'll put on social media.
Yeah, absolutely.
Again, this just kind of reiterates what we've been saying before. The people related to the show, the people who produce things that aren't actually the show, are far superior to me and Kyle, whether that's Buster in the theme tune, whether that's Kelly in the spreadsheet. It's just amazing what people have done, and it's far superior to our shoddily produced show where you can't hear us, or we're really loud, or there's dogs barking and things falling and microphones disabled, or 30 seconds of silence. Anyway, so Kelly's made this amazing spreadsheet, which is color coded, and she's also given us a key which shows all the films which are Razzie nominated and Razzie winners, and it reveals that the 50s to 70s series adaptation 20, 40 years later, that does seem to be something that Mr. Razzie dislikes, because there are a lot of nominees and winners here. Mm-hmm. So the first one Kelly has is Addams Family, which that was actually what you mentioned as the possible origin for it. That's the Razzie winner. Just going through, we have your Beverly Hillbillies. Addams Family Values, of course, won the Razzie for Addams Family Whoomp. We have Car 54, Where Are You? Razzie winner. And then we have like a bunch of them, Lost in Space, Mod Squad.
The Brady Bunch movie was quite a thing as well. I do remember that at the time. But like up until, and I see this is where I was wrong, because I thought the Flintstones killed it all, but no, I was wrong there. But yeah, no, it's a very interesting spreadsheet, and it doesn't seem to have the Patient Zero. I thought the Patient Zero was later. I thought there was a gap, like an early 90s adaptations, and then a Flintstones or something that stops that trend, and then it starts up again with like a Charlie's Angels or something.
Yeah, despite Kelly's amazing comprehensive research, the mystery remains out there in that Addams Family wasn't the massive hit that sort of sparked it all, but also there's nothing that kind of categorically killed it. Like there was no Ishtar, there was no Bill Cosby, there was no Leonard Part 6 that ends it. To the extent that Kelly said, it's still ongoing today with Man from U.N.C.L.E. and stuff. It's almost moved to streaming, because if you look at it, then there's lots of things like Lost in Space, which
and we're on Netflix. Like the thing is, we're into this time period now where TV shows from that 40-year gap, we're getting Miami Vice reboots from the 80s. We're getting now we're getting everything that time frame's moved forward, but we're still getting the Monsters movie came out this year with Rob Zombie's. So they're still
Addams Family
will never die.
Wednesday
Wednesday's the top streaming thing available. Tim Burton, it all links back to him, doesn't it? So yeah, but I also just think it's cheap IPs. I stuff like the Riverdale and the Archie worlds and stuff got so popular because they're cheap. I don't have to make up characters.
It's nostalgia, baby. Even if you
never knew it.
Which is exactly why I'm like, Leonard is languishing in IP purgatory when it needs to be brought back into the spotlight. It can't be that expensive to get the rights to Leonard. We can get the rights to Leonard. Yes. So we'll put this up, and if you have any thoughts on the spreadsheet, if you want to discuss anything about it, any opinions, send us an email at watchingworstfilms@gmail.com. Or indeed, if you have a spreadsheet that you want to show us, then that is the place to get in touch. Before we move on, Thunderbirds. Have you seen Thunderbirds?
No, I haven't.
Live action.
No, I have not seen the live action Thunderbirds.
That is a very, very weird oddity. It was 2004. It was a Dirty Love year.
Yeah, I was.
I guess we're. Oh no, 2005. When was Dirty Love? I thought Dirty Love was 2005.
I thought it was 4. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Thunderbirds is 04.
Okay. Well, we'll cut this.
Both of them are 04. Yeah, I think Starsky and Hutch would have been the last one that I'd seen before, the Dukes of Hazzard, rather. That's 05. And then that's probably... No, because then there's Get Smart and all that. I've seen them as well. There's a Lone Ranger popping up again. Yeah. There's Man from U.N.C.L.E., like you said. Mission Impossible's Never Stop. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I guess this is just what we're going to get for the rest of our lives.
Okay, and while we're in this section of previous episodes, I have something for you here, which is the mystery of Mike Bigelow.
Excellent.
So we have a little bit more information on... This was the Dirty Love episode. We spoke about the director of Juice Bigelow, European Gigolo, was a man called Mike Bigelow, who I posited did not actually exist. And we have now found... There is an interview with Mike Bigelow at the East Bay Times.
All right.
And so we know if he doesn't exist, the East Bay Times is at least in on the gag, and they're fabricating this interview. He reveals here a little bit of what we knew. So he was a commercial director. This was his first and last feature film. And he actually reveals that he says that studios hunt for commercial directors because they can get them relatively cheap for a DGA scale. And he's a friend of Spike Jonze, who he gives as the example of people who have shot to success. Oh no, he's not a friend of Spike Jonze. Let's cut that.
Yeah, no, you know who the friend, I just read that. The friend of him is Jesse Dillon, son of Bob Dylan, brother of Jacob Dylan.
Your favorite director of Kicking and Screaming.
And my favorite Dylan.
So in this interview, Mike Bigelow just sort of speaks about the skill set of commercial directing being a good sort of training ground. Yeah, and in that interview, that's where he says that when they called him in, he originally thought it was a mistake because of his name. Mm-hmm. So he is aware of the absurdity of him, of the nominative determinism here of him.
Absolutely.
So that's that mystery kind of solved.
Absolutely, and it kind of... the only one thing I'm picking off from this article is I think his dad's name, Richard Bigelow, is a great name. Dick Bigelow is... the sequel that Juice wants to be.
So yeah, we've kind of closed that chapter on. He certainly seems to be a man who exists, and it was just a freak, just a coincidence.
So
Unless, of course,
Yeah, no, of course, if this is a big conspiracy theory, then of course. But if you are listening, Mr. Bigelow, Mike Bigelow, not Juice, Rob, you're not invited. Please get in touch, Mike, and please come on, and we'll do a special with you. We'll watch your film with you, just for you.
Welcome back to the final part of Watching Worst Films, where we'll be covering the other awards and nominees for 1987. So, the other nominees for Worst Picture, we had Telling the Truth Can Be Dangerous Business, Honest and Popular Don't Go Hand in Hand, Ishtar. Have you seen Ishtar?
I've not seen Ishtar.
You haven't seen Ishtar?
It's my white whale, I guess,
Yeah.
of like bad movies. I know. I think the time in my life where I was going to watch Ishtar is when I would have watched Heaven's Gate and probably Waterworld as well. You know, the big.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't. I couldn't. Have you?
I've seen Ishtar. I think I don't think you would like Ishtar. There is a part of like the musician angle, like the entertainer angle. I can see you liking that aspect of Ishtar. I don't know if you'd like it overall. I really like Ishtar, and I'm kind of furious at it being here. Ishtar's another film that I feel like gets a very bad reputation, and you can sort of see the legacy of things it has influenced. I love Elaine May, and it's absolutely tragic that this film killed her career, when I think there's some really good stuff in Ishtar, and there's like the bad stuff is maybe how it doesn't fully all come together, but I really like Ishtar, so I'm disappointed to see that here.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
And then Jaws: The Revenge.
So I haven't seen Ishtar, but I have seen Jaws: The Revenge. Jaws: The Revenge is awful. I mean, it's at this point, it's notorious for it. It's not unwatchable.
Yeah.
It's not as enjoyable as Part 3, which I think for campy, fun, silly reasons I really like. Jaws: The Revenge is a worse film than Leonard. Out of these picks as well, out of these nominations, this would be my winner. I don't think it's the worst film of 87. I think films are going to pop up later in the categories that are going to more deserve to win Worst Picture, but A Jaws: The Revenge is very bad.
I haven't seen Jaws: The Revenge. Have you seen Tough Guys Don't Dance?
No, I haven't. White men can't jump and tough guys don't dance.
Neither have I. It's a Norman Mailer piece, and it's very well represented with the nominations this year. Mm-hmm. It is the joint most nominated film alongside Jaws: The Revenge.
The only thing that's intrigued me about it is Angelo Badalamenti did the score for it.
Wow.
Rest in
peace, yeah.
Rest in peace.
And then Who's That Girl? Have you seen Who's That Girl?
Of course, I've not seen Who's That Girl.
Well,
and this is something that's going to come up later and later. I am not a Madonna fan in the slightest.
Are you a Griffin Dunn fan?
No, I'm not.
I have seen Who's That Girl. I watched that on the train to Aberdeen as we're recording in person. It's very fresh in the mind. So the interesting thing is cinematographer of Who's That Girl, Jan de Bont, who was also the cinematographer of Leonard Part 6, who was also the cinematographer of Basic Instinct, who was also the director of Speed. So if we are assembling our Razzie Dream Team, maybe we'll do this for a special, or maybe we'll do this towards the end. But if we're making like the Razzie All-Stars, you would have Joe Esterhaas writing the screenplay, and Jan de Bont would have to shoot it. And Shining Through, of course. I knew there was another one. He was the DOP on Shining Through. So I think it doesn't seem premature to say this is like the DP of the Razzies.
Yeah. And
he's the go-to guy.
But this is also, he does Leonard and Who's That Girl this year, and follows up next year with Die Hard. So, you know.
Amazing.
It's one of these.
So good.
He's got Hunt for Red October in there and stuff. It's strange, a strange, varied career.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very strange.
Who's That Girl is weird because it's basically just like, what if something wild were rubbish? And it's not bad so much as it's just boring. Mm-hmm. So out of the ones I've seen, Ishtar and Leonard Part 6 and Who's That Girl. Leonard Part 6 is probably the more notable winner.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
Worst actor, we have Sylvester Stallone in Over the Top as Lincoln Hawk.
Great name, isn't it? I've seen Over the Top. Of course, I have. It isn't a good. I enjoy it because I like Stallone and.
Really? You've never mentioned that before.
Did he direct this film? No, he did not.
He wrote the screenplay.
He wrote the screenplay. Yeah. It is a stupid film. Of course it is. It's about arm wrestling. This isn't Rocky. This isn't... It's trying to be Rocky. I think that's why I enjoyed it. It's got this 1987 stink over the original Rocky of the underdog trying to, do a sport and things. It's something he always goes to. Stallone's no worse and Over the Top than anything from that era. I obviously don't want him here, so yeah, I don't agree with it.
Then we have Ryan O'Neal in Tough Guys Don't Dance as Tim Madden. So neither of us have seen Tough Guys Don't Dance. What's your opinion on Ryan O'Neal, wider career-wise?
What do I know Ryan O'Neal?
Barry Lyndon.
Barry Lyndon, yeah. I like him. I feel like there's something else. What's later?
So I know him from Paper Moon and Barry Lyndon, both of which are fantastic films, and I think he's amazing in. But I know lots of people shit on Ryan O'Neal, so there must be something that he's done, because the only two things I've seen him in, he's great.
And he's great in Barry Lyndon, yeah.
Yeah.
He's in an Alan Smithy film, Hollywood Burn.
So we'll be returning to Ryan a little bit later on. He's another one appropriate for Bill Cosby of he's not a good person, but as far as his acting career is concerned,
yeah,
I like him.
So I can only base it off Barry Lyndon. I love Barry Lyndon, so yeah, I'm gonna give him a pass here.
And then we have Judd Nelson in From the Hip as Robin Stormy Weathers. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
It's directed by Bob Clark of Baby Geniuses and Christmas Story fame. I haven't seen it either.
No, so you escaped this one.
And then we have, I can already tell you're going to object to this, Bruce the Shark in Jaws the Revenge.
He's not a fucking actor. It's like if there's... See, this is what pisses me off, because worst support special effects is a category that's coming up.
Yeah.
Stick him in there. I have no clue.
For sure.
He looks awful. Like, this is the cheapest. Bruce the Shark never looked good in any of the Jaws films. They cover it up for a fucking reason. The fourth one is, considering the time lapse from 1 to 4, you're expecting such an improvement. We're not that far away from, like, Jurassic Park, to be honest.
No.
6
years.
It is awful. It is awful. It deserves some award or something, but it doesn't. It's not an actor. And Mr. Razzie can fuck himself. I hate this. He needs to put it in the right category.
So we had the Dolphins in Worst New Star, and now we've got Bruce the Shark in Worst Actor.
Because this is where I'm like, Mr. Razzie, what was if you won it? What'd you do? Who'd you give it to? Like, think about it.
And then, of course, the winner, Bill Cosby in Leonard Part 6, is Leonard Parker.
Absolutely.
Moving on to Worst Actress, we have Sharon Stone in Alan Quatermain and The Lost City of Gold as Jessie Houston.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen that?
I have not. I was aware of them. I know their books as well, aren't they? The Alan Quatermain and all these.
Well, yeah, Alan Quatermain is a famous literary protagonist. That's what gets him into the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Oh, shit.
But King Solomon's Mines, he was a sort of like serial character. The Indiana Jones of his day was Quatermain.
I know the films are cash-ins on the Indiana Jones films.
Are they? Okay.
I'll show you right now, but yeah, you look at the poster.
There's a man with a fedora, a gun, and what appears to be a whip around the shoulder. Oh my god, that's so glaring. Listeners, look up King Solomon's Mines. Yeah. The typeface is doing how they did not get sued for that. I have no idea.
And that's where my awareness is. I'm sure I've seen these covers before. I knew it. I was like, it's the Indiana Jones ripoff.
Yeah.
And if I want to watch an Indiana Jones ripoff, I'll watch an Italian do it in Colombia, So no.
Deborah Sandland in Tough Guys Don't Dance as Patty Lorraine.
Nope.
Sandra Locke in Rat Boy as Nicky Morrison.
Dear old Rat Boy. Who could forget
Rat Boy?
Have you seen Rat Boy?
Nope.
Never either.
And then Lorraine Gary in Jaws the Revenge as Ellen Brody.
Yeah. No is what I'm going to say. One of the better parts of it is, a reprisal as well. It's not like a new thing for her to come back to. I'm a bit... there's nothing good about Jaws Revenge, and she's not good in it, but I don't think it's just deserved.
And then the winner, Madonna in Who's That Girl as Nikki Finn. So I can give you the Madonna take here, which
please
is having seen her in Body of Evidence, I was prepared for her to be atrocious in this, and she is an improvement on Body of Evidence, certainly. She's kind of playing like, she's kind of doing a Harley Quinn thing.
Okay.
Of, she's a kooky New York, kind of tough on her wits, kind of.
Okay.
And she's doing an accent, and I honestly think that accent helps her sort of get out of the flatness of Body of Evidence. She's okay. There are some really bad moments. Like, she's kind of like the manic pixie dream girl.
Okay.
And so she gets released from prison, and she kind of has to be like carefree, like swinging her arms like Harley Quinn, one of those chaotic. And she is just robotically lifting her arms up and down. It looks like she's meant to be like a toddler, just sort of like that kind of. And she looks so stiff and robotic. Like, in a number of scenes in this, like for a dancer, I've never seen someone look so awkward and uncomfortable in their body as Madonna does in a lot of these scenes.
That's how I felt with Evita. I was like, for a singer, she doesn't seem very confident or good at singing. And that's another film covered in an accent. Evita and Die Another Day are pretty much my only Madonna exposure, I think, off the top of my head. And based off them, how good her performance, because I think she's awful in those.
I haven't seen, I've seen Die Another Day. I thought she was fine at the time, so maybe she gets better with age. But
cue photo of Madonna 2022.
What's the weird thing, the video she made in the pandemic? Yeah. I need some fried fish.
I want this with only gets better with age. Jericho Reed.
I mean, in terms of her acting performance. There's scenes in Who's That Girl where, like, if you leave her to her own devices, she's probably okay, but you can tell, like, there are just scenes where you can tell the director is off camera coaching her on, like, okay, now look confused, or do this, do that. You can practically see the director off camera desperately trying to coax some kind of performance out of her.
Okay.
And so it's slightly painful. I think she's a fairly deserved winner, not having seen any of the other nominees. Worst supporting actor. We have Mac Dryden and Jamie Alcroft in $1 Million Mystery as Fred and Bob. You've seen that film?
No, I haven't.
You haven't? Okay.
I only had the theme song stuck in my head since we listened to all the worst original songs.
Yeah.
I've never heard about it. I've had a quick little glance now as you were Madonna in.
Yeah.
It sounds strange. Very, very strange film. It's the final feature-length film directed by Richard Fleischer. It starred an ensemble cast of America's New Comic Talent, and it was released as a promotional tie-in for Gladlock brand bags.
Wow.
As we looked up before, a stuntman died during the filming of it.
You could have given me a bit of warning so I'd stopped laughing.
No.
You said that.
You've got to time it right. A very strange film. I think we might have to watch. It's 95 minutes, so it's right up my street.
It's a De Laurentiis production, and the poster has the promotional bag. Like, it's like, the tagline is, you can win $1 million in cash, and that cash is tied in a Gladlock brand bag. So it's central to the plot. Yeah, we might need to watch
this one.
Have to go.
This is a strange one. It's very unique. So I can't comment on their performances just yet. What's next?
And then we have Michael Caine in Jaws the Revenge as Hoagie Newcomb.
Oh, yeah.
So this is, I've blown one of my anecdotes for Michael Caine, Fade Up the Bahamas. I'm in. The other one is Michael Caine being asked if he's seen Jaws the Revenge, and his reply, no, by all counts, it is awful. But I have seen the house that it built, and that is very nice.
So yeah, like, this isn't a good Caine performance. This is probably the worst Caine performance he's done. It's just lifeless, like, he's there, he's on holiday. And I'm a big Michael Caine fan. Like, he is absolutely, you could at least be a bit more subtle as well about doing something for the money and not giving a shit. Yeah. But he really, really, really doesn't. And it's a shame because, if he did more and if people cared more, maybe while they were making the movie, you could have maybe got Jaws 3D, which is shit but fun, instead of this, but weird, but miserable, awful film. Yeah, sorry, Michael, you deserve this nomination. And
then we have Tom Bosley, another performance from $1 Million Mystery as Sidney Preston. Mm-hmm. Is that not a character from Scream?
Tom Bosley, the name?
Sidney Preston.
Oh, Sidney Preston. It's Tom Bosley. I'll tell you in 2 seconds.
I want to say Sidney Preston's Neve Campbell in Scream, but I could be wrong.
Sidney Prescott.
Sidney Prescott. Okay. Close enough.
Yeah, no, that was actually close.
And then, of course, we have my nemesis turning up for the third time. I've remembered him this time. Billy Barty in Masters of the Universe as Gwildor. Now, I haven't seen it, but I feel confident in saying you will have seen Masters of the Universe.
Fucking seen Masters of the Universe.
Of course.
Of course I have.
Won't let me down. Yeah.
Masters of the Universe I remember renting as a kid, and it obviously being a He-Man movie without He-Man, and without the world of He-Man, and being set in New York and being fucking miserable.
Okay, that's our question for this one, is what prompted this? Because it's kind of like Mario Brothers, like the Super Mario Brothers.
Well, it's toys.
But you know the specific, like, is Super Mario Brothers in New York?
Yeah.
It's like we'll take someone famous for a fantasy world and we will insert them into New York. I don't know if it's the success of Ninja Turtles and the fact that they actually are in New York.
At least the Mario Brothers movie is mostly in the Mushroom Kingdom magic.
Okay,
you know, it's like,
I've not seen it still.
So it is in New York, but they go to Blade Runner land. Which is, I really like Mario Brothers movie. I know, like, it's a terrible movie, but it's so interesting. And like, I think it is actually the Blade Runner set designer. So he uses reuses stuff. It's like this cyberpunky world. And it's a bad film. Like, of course it is. It does have that kind of similar fish out of water thing, though. Masters of the Universe, though, is much worse because you know its budget. You know, we can't go to Skeletor's castle, so we're going to Courtney Cox's apartment, you know, and we're going to hang out there, and Billy Barty's going to run around, and it's going to be, you know, a wacky. It's awful. All right, I really, really dislike it. I think the only thing I can kind of praise is Dolph Lundgren fits as He-Man.
For sure,
he looks like it, you know, but he's barely in it, and it doesn't. It's just a terrible movie. It's super surprising to me that this is not nominated for Worst Picture.
Yeah, that does seem like a surprise. Sorry, I'm going to take a moment to get back on track because I'm now just thinking you might have got me to watch Super Mario Brothers if you've promised me Blade Runner Mario, where we're going to get I've seen a Goombas glittering in the dark by the Tannhauser gate.
Honestly, fucking telling you, man.
Oh, yeah, no, that looks the part.
Yeah. Vote for Koopa, you know?
Okay, maybe upcoming special Super Mario Brothers.
Especially a good timing with the new Super Mario Brothers movie.
Yeah, the Chris Pratt one. Though, compare
Show
and
you
contrast.
how Hoskins does it. You know?
So Billy Barty as Gwildor. Who is Gwildor?
Gwildor, I thought, is this thing.
Oh, yeah.
Who's not in it much.
Yeah.
I know you're the Billy Barty, so we're just going to keep his nomination and agree for it because the whole thing sucks.
That thing looks kind of familiar. Maybe I've seen sections of this on TV, or maybe I'm just getting him confused with Stations from Bill and Ted.
I think Gwildor would be the kind of like action figure you'd be disappointed to get, you know? It's like, it's under the Christmas tree. You know what? You can feel it's an action figure. You can feel like the plastic and the cardboard back, and you rip open it and it's fucking Gwildor. That's basically the film, you know?
What a review. Spirit of Roger Ebert lives on. Then the winner, David Mendenhall in Over the Top as Michael Hawke. Another great name.
Yeah, a wonderful name. I can't remember who this is.
Well, Stallone's Lincoln Hawke, so presumably this is a brother, a dad.
I actually can't remember. So I'm going to no comment this. I'm going to defend Stallone in the movie, but I am going to pass on him.
And then Worst Supporting Actress, Isabella Rossellini in Siesta and Tough Guys Don't Dance as Marie and Madeline Regency. You've not seen Siesta?
I've not seen any. I only know Isabella through Blue Velvet, which is a year before.
Lynch heavy year.
Yeah, like 86, and she's following Blue Velvet with Siesta and Tough Guys Don't Dance.
Yeah,
I'm mixed with her. Like I like her in things. I don't know how good she is at times as well. Like it's a confliction for me.
Yeah,
Rossellini. She does give it her all though, but I've not seen either of these films.
And then we have Grace Jones in Siesta as Conchita. So again, nothing to be said here. Mariel Hemingway in Superman 4: The Quest for Peace as Lacey Warfield. Yeah. So thoughts and opinions on that? So
no, I don't think she deserves it. I don't think she's the problems with Superman 4. I hate Superman 4 for the record. Quest for Peace with the Atom Man and the bomb. I hate it. It's so cheap and nasty, and it's one of those. I think Superman 4 and Master of the Universe are both worse than Leonard to some extent.
Yeah.
Nuclear Man, sorry, it's not Atom Man. It's been a while since I've seen it, but it's a terrible. And even as a kid, it's one of those films, I had the box set or something, the VHSs of all 4 films. Loved the first 2. Kind of didn't understand why Richard Pryor was in the 3rd film and what was going on, but still, like, as a kid could get it. I knew that something was up with 4, It's that Rocky 5 that I just knew something was up and I didn't want to watch it. So yeah, it should have been nominated for more, but not for worst supporting actress.
Yeah, so I didn't remember Mariel Hemingway being in Superman 4. I only know her from Manhattan, really.
She's Woody's girl, isn't she?
Yeah, she came on the scene playing the child bride of Woody Allen in Manhattan, and she's really good in that movie. From what I can recall of Superman 4, you're right. It seems like a weird omission, particularly Atom Man, who is one of those weird physical presences, but just looks a bit awkward. Atom Man was cast for his physique and sort of struggles to not look weird when he's why am I calling him Atom Man? Nuclear Man. Nuclear Man, I remember just having that sort of early Schwarzenegger type awkwardness around the camera. He should have been nominated in the film as a whole. She'd also have picked up, but Mariel Hemingway, she's suffered enough at this point in her career. Let her off. Then we have Gloria Foster in Leonard Part 6, Medusa. No. And the winner, Daryl Hannah in Wall Street as Darian Taylor.
Which is a big surprise, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on Wall Street?
I haven't seen Wall Street in quite some time. I don't much care for it. I don't really like Oliver Stone. I find his movies a bit long and boring for the most part. But Wall Street was fine, and no one stood out particularly.
Okay. So I don't like Wall Street. Yeah. Or the sequel. I don't like Oliver Stone, as you said. I know Daryl Hannah primarily through Blade Runner, It All Swings Back, and Kill Bill. Yeah. And being Neil Young's wife. And directing Paradox. I have watched her directorial debut. And I've kept up, because I'm a Neil Young fan. Yeah. Paradox is awful, by the way. It's one of the worst directed things I've ever seen. Sorry. But yeah, it's really fucking bad. And I'm a big, big Neil Young fan, so it's hard to say. I don't think Hannah's a very good actress. I don't enjoy her as much. She's finding stuff like Kill Bill where wear an eye patch and spout lines. It could be, and also I don't like Wall Street either. So I kind of agree with this one. I don't know if it's maybe worst supporting actress, bad, actual winner, but I understand it being there.
Yeah. Worst director, Paul Wayland for Leonard Part 6, Joseph Sargent for Jaws the Revenge. Any real opinions on Mr. Sargent?
Well, first of all, I've said before, I think Cosby deserves this worst director for Leonard. I'm going to defend Paul, sorry. Yeah. Joseph, Sargent deserves it. I think of these ones I've been picking so far that have been popping up. Jaws of Revenge, very badly directed. Masters of the Universe probably deserves it. Again, for actual direction, it's very, very fucking bad.
Who directed Masters of the Universe? Are we going to find that's someone famous?
Gary Goddard.
Okay.
Who?
Sexual assault allegations is a section on his Wikipedia page.
So the only thing I've seen from him is the T2 3D Battle Across Time when I went to Florida when I was 7.
Yeah.
I went to see that, and the actors run across and pretend to be RNA and Edward Furlong.
Yeah. He was a friend of Bryan Singer.
Oh, well, say no more. Say no more. He is bad. That's what I'd be picking over anyone else that's going to come up here. Yeah, definitely.
And then we have James Foley for Who's That Girl? Who's That Girl? Not great. Wouldn't really beyond struggling to get a performance out of Madonna. Not really particularly remarkable. James Foley is interesting though because he is the director of the last 2 50 Shades of Grey films.
Oh.
He's the yes man they get in once Sam Taylor Wood leaves, and he also directed Glengarry Glen Ross, which is an amazing film. But yeah, not much to say about him. And then the winner is a tie. So we have Elaine May for Ishtar. No, absolutely do not deserve that in any way, shape, or form. And Norman Mailer for Tough Guys Don't Dance, which if he's on a par with Elaine May, maybe I need to watch Tough Guys Don't Dance.
Yeah. I don't think any of these, other than Jaws the Revenge, probably deserves it.
Yeah.
Even Leonard, I think Jaws is the worst directed film. I think Superman's probably the worst directed film at times,
Yeah.
There's a film that's going to be coming up as we go through these nominations that's much worse directed and should have swept the fucking Razzies this year. And this is a bit odd. I don't agree with this one.
Worst screenplay, Who's That Girl? Screenplay by Andrew Smith and Ken Finkelman. story by Smith. Yeah, not great screenplay, kind of unremarkable. Tough Guys Don't Dance, screenplay by Norman Mailer based on his novel. It's interesting to see novelists direct. That's really the only thing I have to say there. Jaws the Revenge, screenplay by Michael de Guzma based on characters created by Peter Benchley. Anything to say on a screenplay level?
It's bad. I mean, it's the stupidest one. I mean, it's notorious for the fact that the shark crosses the Atlantic Ocean, surviving death to hunt down the family, the Bradys and stuff. Again, 4 also jumps over 3, pretends 3 doesn't happen, because 3 is the shark's descendant that's trying to avenge its mother.
Yeah.
Whereas 4, it's the fucking same shark.
Bruce is back.
And it's very fucking stupid. It's very contrived just to make it a Jaws film.
Because I can imagine people were going to see it's like those movies. I can't think of an example, but when they make a sequel and it doesn't go so well, so they get the actor back and they feature that really heavily in the marketing.
Yeah.
So the example, not the best one, is probably Arnie, to be honest. You know how they made a bunch of Terminators without him?
Yeah.
And then when Dark Fate got him back, they were like, hey, look, Arnie's back. And that was a big deal. People were like, it's Bruce, everyone. I know you didn't like the shark in the last Jaws.
Closer analogy for me would have been Sam Neill in Jurassic Park 3.
Yeah.
Because that got me to go see it again. I actually went to see Jurassic Park 3 because I was like, Sam Neill, if it's good enough for Sam Neill, it's closer to the first film.
Yeah.
There's no Vince Vaughn lurking about here. This is going to be much better than Lost World.
Yeah.
And it tricked me. I was Jaws forward.
I can't imagine people are like, you know what? I didn't like that it was a different shark. I go to see Jaws specifically for Bruce, not Bruce's descendants. Bruce himself.
It was trying to wash away the stink though. It's like that. It's.
Trust me, Bruce's son has been destroyed. Everything connected to that film is gone. Back to basics. Then we have Ishtar, written by Elaine May. No. Comedic genius. And Leonard Part 6, screenplay by Jonathan Reynolds, story by Bill Cosby.
Oh, yeah.
And then, moving on, worst new star, Jim Varney in Ernest Goes to Camp as Ernest P. Worrell. Have you seen any of the Ernest films?
So I'm going to be honest with you. I've seen... Again, we had that same video store that we'd have rented from as a kid.
Of course, yeah.
And there was plenty of Ernest films in there.
There was.
I remember the Christmas one, the Halloween one, and I don't know. I feel like I've seen a film called Ernest Gets a Job or something. I've definitely seen at least 3 or 4 as a dumb kid. I didn't like them. I didn't love them, but they were slapstick, goofy. I really like Jim Varney in general. I actually think he's funny, he's got a funny face, he's got good reactions. He's the best part of the Beverly Hillbillies, because he kind of he basically who he is in Toy Story. That redneck voice is really, really good.
Yeah.
Really iconic. I'm kind of annoyed. I don't think Jim Varney should be nominated here. And it's Ernest Goes to Camp. It's not for Mr. Razzie. But anyway, that's me done defending.
Then we have Deborah Sandland in Tough Guys Don't Dance as Patty Lorraine. Let's work out if she was a child at that point in time. Well, she won a beauty pageant and she won the Miss Dream Girl USA in 1987 pageant. So that would suggest that she wasn't a child. Mm-hmm. And she was also on Full House.
Oh, links round, doesn't it? I don't have any comment.
Yeah, then we have David and Peter Paul, the Barbarian brothers in The Barbarians, as Gore and Kuchek.
Which is great names. This is a film you said you must have seen.
You've let me down majorly on this. I know I just said moments ago that I can always rely on you to have seen certain things. I felt sure you'd have seen The Barbarians.
And I don't know why. I mean, I'm familiar with the director, and George Eastman's in it, one of my Django's,
Yeah.
There's a lot
big your vibes from the Barbarians.
I'm surprised. It's going to get a watch though. It's 87 minutes. I can't wait to watch this.
And then we have the Garbage Pail Kids, Alligator, Greaser Greg, Nat Nerd, Foul Phil, Messy Tessie, Valerie Vomit, and Windy Winston in the Garbage Pail Kids movie.
Finally.
Okay,
it's come up.
Here we go. Take the floor.
So you haven't seen the Garbage Pail Kids movie?
I have not, no.
I introduced you to a scene. Tonight is as close to... I've seen the Garbage Kid. My association doesn't matter. This is not the point. It's one of the worst films ever. I hate it. I don't... find it funny. I don't find it indeed anything. You know,
Are
anything.
you grossed out? Are you freaked out? Is it too much for you?
It's so cheap and it's so bad. Obviously, you can go on about the animatronics and the costumes, the weird as fuck plot about making costumes and having these alien. It's so fucking stupid. And the magic house, it's so fucking stupid. It's stuck with me in the worst ways for a long time. And I've got such a low bar. I recommended Saving Christmas, you know, like I don't I don't really, if you I think a Cabbage Patch Kids or whatever they're called film I could watch through and be like, yeah, whatever. But this is genuinely one of the most insulting things. And when we came up, when looking at wondering what came out this year, you said you don't think Mr. Razzie watched it.
Well, we spoke about it, and because you were like, it's awful, why is it only represented? And based off the 3 categories in which it is nominated, I was like, he can have nominated this based off
the trailer.
Yeah, based off the trailer. I was like, it's not nominated for any big. You can watch a trailer and be like, yeah, no, I don't like that, and nominate it for the things he's nominated for. So I was like, I said to you, do you think he's watched it? And you were like, no, he's just seen the trailer.
Because if he has, it's every category.
Yeah.
Every single category is every single nomination and winner is the garbage. It would sweep it. And I'm not even joking, like, absolutely. Unless you're wanting to, like, no, it would sweep it. Maybe there's not enough supporting actresses or something, you know. So maybe Leonard might get one nod or something, Jaws here. But this is the worst movie from 87 and possibly like the whole 80s. And again, I've watched Yar. I can't wait to watch the Barbarian Brothers. Do not, I hate this film. And I don't say that like that. I fucking hate this film.
Do you, taking aside the hate for a moment, do you think it's a valid nom because he just gives the character names? He doesn't give...
Well, like, in a good way, because it's worse. The lead actor, child actor in it is pretty awful. The one scene you've seen, you can see how talented he is.
Yeah.
But I don't like dunking on kids.
No,
I don't think he
absolutely.
deserved it.
Whereas animatronic
Things I disagree with, like, because it's not really, but there is actors in there as well. So
yeah,
there is.
Winnie the Pooh was in one of the,
well,
or he
voice,
wasn't in it. He was the voice.
There is some little people and stuff in costumes, and
was Billy Barty one of them?
He is not though. No. It doesn't have the budget. So, but it's hard to say because those people in those costumes can't see or breathe or talk. You know, it's all
they're not responsible.
They're just waving their arms around. And,
yeah, I've just thought of a guy who like hates the Star Wars prequels because of Kenny Baker. He's like, Kenny Baker has ruined these films. I cannot believe Kenny Baker made the choice to fly in Attack of the Clones.
But yeah, so like it's a mixed thing. I don't think it's a real nomination. I don't think you should nominate the kid because that's weird and gross.
Yeah.
But I'm okay with it because it's that bad a film. Anyway, yeah, continue. That's my rant over.
And the winner of Worst New Star is David Mendenhall in Over the Top as Michael Hawke. So this was the guy that you didn't know about.
Forget him. I'm gonna rewatch Over the Top because it's been a few years.
Yeah.
I'm surprised this didn't get a Leonard nod for Worst New Star as well. You know, like
Cosby.
Well, is it Cosby's debut feature film?
Yeah.
There you go. And again, because of like what's happened in previous years, the kid or something might have got a nomination from that. But yeah, it's not the greatest category. It never has been. But it does lead on to the greatest category, so I'm happy.
Well, we have a return to the 80s and Kyle's favourite category, which is Worst Original Song. So the nominations are You Can Be a Garbage Pail Kid from the Garbage Pail Kids movie, written by Michael Lloyd. So we've listened to all these songs, and I actually kind of like that song.
It's a good film, and this is why
it's a good film.
A good song. Cut, edit. There's 3 a.m, viewers, listeners. This is not the song I thought when I think Garbage Kid. I was like, there's a song in the movie, and I remember it, and they're going like.
No, it's not. It's kind of like Joan Jett, like rock anthem,
and it's fine. And it was in the trailer, and that's the only reason Mr. Razzie knows it. And that's why I stuck it in here. Yeah. For reference, it is Working With Each Other is the song I would have thought would have run away with this.
Yeah, that's much more your Coneheads style.
Vile. So no, he didn't watch that, and it's not a bad song. So yeah, whatever.
Then we have $1 Million Mystery from $1 Million Mystery, written by Barry Mann and John Lewis Parker.
Which I loved. I don't know about the film. The film could be an absolute product placement that someone died for no reason making. But the song is great. I genuinely might listen to the song. I really liked it.
So this was a weird one because I listened to all these songs yesterday, and when I first listened, I could kind of see the case for all of them being nominated. But as time went on, I found myself with almost all of them stuck in my head at various points. They all have strong merits, not least Let's Go to Heaven in My Car from Police Academy 4, Citizens on Patrol, written by Brian Wilson, Eugene E. Landy, and Gary Usher.
Yeah. Obviously this isn't Wilson's finest hour. And I'm going to blame Landy as well, but it's not a bad song. It's not like unlistenable. You think it's catchy.
Yeah, there's hooks to it for sure.
It's not the strongest, but I don't think it's the worst.
It's no Kokomo, but it is. It's not. It does have its moments.
Yeah.
And then we have El Coco Loco, So Bad from Who's That Girl, written by Cody Mundy.
Which is probably my least favourite of the ones because I don't remember it very well, and it was just noises and beats and stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah, so its purpose, like its use in the movie is it's like playing out of a car in the background, and so the beats that become annoying and repetitive when you're listening to it in isolation, within the context of the movie, they add a kind of nice propulsion to it. So I listened to it before seeing the movie and thought like, yeah, this should probably have won. It's the worst out of all of them. But in the context of the film, it kind of works.
That's fair.
Don't listen to all 5 minutes of it. Don't listen to all 5 minutes of it in isolation, but within the film, I wouldn't really single it out. I was worried with the opening track, Causing a Commotion by Madonna. I was worried that was going to turn up because that's actually just like a good Madonna song. Like it opens with a weird animated title sequence, but an otherwise kind of decent Madonna song. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, this is probably the worst out of all of them because we then go on to the winner, I Want Your Sex from Beverly Hills Cop 2, written by George Michael.
Mm-hmm. Very surprising. It's rare to see a worst original song, I know, anyway, just from pop culture, just from the radio. I remember the song, I know the song. I know it was controversial as well at the time and all that, obviously, but and I can't remember it from Beverly Hills Cop 2. It's been a while since I've seen the second one. But yeah, it's very surprising it's there. It's not got the greatest lyrics.
Yeah, so that's the only grounds I can make for it is if you just listen to it, a good song, catchy, whatever, yeah, I like it. And then if you stop and listen too long to the lyrics, then you can kind of see oh yeah, maybe this is worthy. Because it has lyrics such as, what's your definition of dirty, baby? What do you call pornography? And yeah, I
think the next line was better. Don't you know I love you till it hurts me, baby? Don't you think it's time you had sex with me?
Yeah, this is almost Cosby-esque, isn't it? Of it makes quite uncomfortable reading.
I think that despite how weird and uncomfortable though, I'd listen to it on repeat over the Garbage Pail Kids song that they're working with each other.
Absolutely, yeah. George Michael can be singing whatever, and it is better than Garbage Pail Rock.
He should have been right. Yeah.
And then here we have what I believe may be another one-off category, or certainly not a big recurrent one: worst visual effects. So the nominees: Superman 4: The Quest for Peace, special effects supervisors Harrison Ellenshaw and John Evans. Garbage Pail Kids movie, animatronics by John Buechler, Mechanical Makeup Imageries Inc., and the winner, Jaws the Revenge special effects supervisor Henry Miller. Mm-hmm. So this came up, I mentioned to you watching the film that it is a travesty that Leonard Part 6 wasn't nominated for this, because the scenes with the ostrich, the scenes with the toy car getting thrown off the bridge, what special effects there are in Leonard are horrendous. Yeah. We could do the special effects for Leonard right now with a toy car. And
I agree with that. The fact that Leonard's not nominated at the very least is weird, especially for being the worst. Whatever. The one consideration, I think out of the nominations here, Garbage Pail Kids is my vote. But unlike the difference between Leonard and these three is these three had troubled productions. Superman 4 gets cut, slash budgets and effects. So does Jaws 4. And all the problems that the Garbage Pail Kids movie had while it was being making, the animatronics don't work, the things don't move, they don't lip sync, they're all bad. They are all really bad. But they do have some sort of excuse behind it, some sort of rational reason why they are turned out the way they did. In another time and place, if they weren't number 4 in the franchise or they weren't Garbage Pail Kids, they might have, come out okay. Leonard Part 6, I don't think gets the excuse because they just feel lazy. And they do put effort into bits, even with the frogs under the car, and then it'll cut to just something just to fucking finish the scene. Let's just go and move on. All 3 of us picked up on how bad it looked, and we all laughed at it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with a tie between Garbage Pail Kids and Leonard for my worst visual effects, just giving consideration for Jaws and Superman.
Okay, and that concludes another year. So we hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you want to get in touch, then you can email us at watchingworstfilms@gmail.com. You can follow us on social media where we are Watching Worst on any platform you can think of. If we've missed one, let us know. We'll make an account. Or you can make an account. We trust you, listeners. Go wild.
We don't have a TikTok yet, do we?
We don't.
No. Feel free, listeners.
Yeah, that's where you can catch up with us. So for our next episode, we are returning to our specials, bringing you our 3rd special. And this was a listener suggestion. So Chris Nielsen has suggested we tackle the work of Steven Seagal, who is another of Kyle's favorites, which means
I know how to pick them.
Next week we are going to be watching
the cult classic On Deadly Ground, which is absolutely one of my favorite. I think it's the definitive Steven Seagal film. I think it's a travesty it didn't win a Razzie. Steven Seagal's only film he directed. It's his passion project. It's amazing. I get to see, Michael Caine again. I can't wait. I'm so excited. And thanks for everyone for listening. This actually concludes our end of our year in 2022.
Yeah.
So we will hope you had wonderful holidays, Kwanzaa's, Christmases, Hogmanay's, New Year's. And we will catch you in 2023 when we return with Steven Seagal.
Yeah. Thank you for all your support and listening throughout the year. And yeah, we look forward to delving into more of the worst films over 2023 when our Razzie quest will also be coming to an end.
Yes.
We'll be finishing.
We're going to be on Ishtar by this time next year. We'll be on the stinkers.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.